Book 1, Law of Salimi Chapter 41. I don't want to be a millionaire. My situation at the company was analogous to me facing a dragon who wished to kill me, or to jump over a cliff with hopes that I could somehow grow wings and fly to safety. Considering that I cannot kill the dragon, which was referring to the boss of claims department in the real life, I would simply have to jump over the cliff with full faith to Allah the Almighty for my survival. In this real life event, that the cliff that I needed to jump was my resignation of employment at reinsurance company within 2 months, where I must secure a new job before being unemployed. Thus, during the 2 months period, I was secretly attending interviews for any job that I could perform with my degree in international business. Essentially, I went through approximately about 13 interviews in various fields and industries in Malaysia. It was rather challenging to convince potential employer about my competency with about 1 year of working experience. In addition, the economy was not very favorable towards new employees like myself. Nonetheless, I would never give up and will continue to move forward with my life, even though I had to go through numerous interviews to find a new employment. On the 13th interview, I was being interviewed with 2 other candidates at the same time. It was a financial organization that managed investments and insurance for their clients. The interviewer was looking for someone who possessed true talents and desires to be successful in life. Someone who would never give up to achieve their goals in life. Someone who would be fearless to overcome any challenges and obstacles in life. That someone could be me. During the interview, I was a junior level executive, while the 2 competing candidates were senior executive and a manager. However, the interviewer was not looking for previous experience. He was looking for pure talent and raw abilities that would make someone to be a performance-oriented beast. I faced the interview with smiles because I knew I would be the best candidate for the job. I felt that I had aced the interview session where all of the questions posed to us were dominated by my answers. I loved the fact that the interviewer was looking for someone who could transcend from being ordinary person. I enjoyed the interview because the interviewer was looking not at my physical appearance, but directly at my talent, ability, and skill to succeed in achieving my goals in life. This was the first time in my life where someone truly appreciates my abilities. While most other interviewers and employers seemed to hate my clothing that reflect myself to be a Muslim, he appeared to be interested to have someone like me on board of his employment. In one of the questions, he asked 3 of us to describe our ability to overcome obstacles in life. After hearing the answers from 2 other candidates, I began to answer the question by saying, "This is my 13th interview that I had attended in 2 months. I failed 12 previous interviews, but I was never deterred to move forward with the next one. So here I am at my 13th interview for employment. Even if this one failed, I will go to the next one until I reach 20th interview. If I failed, I would go until my 50th interview. If that also failed to secure employment, I would pursue until my 100th interview." After saying that, I kept quiet for around 5 seconds and looked at the interviewer. It was intentional to gauge his response. His facial expression suggested that he was expecting more to my answer, which I actually had more. And he waited for the 5 seconds to verify if I had finished my answers or did I have more to say. Next, he began to ask, "What happened after the 100th interviews?" I knew By that point, he was becoming interested with me and my answers. If I still failed after 100 interviews, I would go for 1000 interviews. If I managed to go for that far, I would write a book about how to attend interviews using my 1000 interview experience. After hearing my complete answer, he smiled and began to write something on a paper in front of him. Basically, I was able to entice the interviewer to seriously consider me as his potential employees. About a week after the interview, I received a phone call from the company which offered me an employment to work at the investment and insurance company. After my resignation has been made official at the reinsurance company, I began to transition to my new employment at investment company. I was with my final day at I was happy with my final day at the reinsurance company since I received numerous gifts from many employees, even from the various departments at the company. The true reason that I was elated does not involve with the gifts that I received, but instead by the friendship and close relationship that had been developed amongst the employees at the reinsurance company. Nonetheless, life goes on for me, and I was moving forward to prepare for my new employment at the investment company. Frankly speaking, throughout all of my life working at and with numerous organizations in Malaysia, this investment company was the best working environment that I had ever experienced in my life so far. One significant reason behind my notion was the fact that the CEO of the company, who was the interviewer, did not judge my physical appearance and evaluated my performance based on my actual ability and talent. In addition, he did not discriminate me considering that he was Chinese and two of the competing candidates for the job was also Chinese. Moreover, every morning he would motivate us and train us to improve our ability and skill. Furthermore, in this organization, the ability to think outside the box and creativity, which was my forte, were extremely encouraged and developed to further enhance the work performance and productivity. I love every moment working with the investment company, which was not the actual company name. Basically, the company offered an incremental wage to employees depending on the job and investment secured. It means that there was no minimum wage or maximum wage for that matter. In fact, one of the senior employees who had worked there since the last 6 months just recently made $500,000 in wage from the commissions received while working with the investment company. I do not have any obsession towards becoming a millionaire, but I don't mind having a huge pile of cash either in my life at that moment. As the training began, I was the newest member of the employees at the company. The CEO told me that I had 5 chances to observe his presentation, where I was expected to be ready to deliver my own presentation soon. Honestly speaking, I was able to utilize my ability to selectively retain every information that I could observe in the company, which would suffice to say that I had learned much more in 1 week in the investment company in comparison to working for more than a year in my previous company that employed me. With my selective memory ability, I was able to understand pretty much everything that I needed to be ready for my own presentation from just observing the first presentation. However, I did not inform this knowledge to the CEO of the company. Instead, I began to observe the second presentation where I applied my second ability to improve my level 2 ability to improve the presentation with my own knowledge about motivating clients to invest with the investment company. By the time I saw the third presentation, I guess the CEO realized that I had not been paying too much attention, considering I was ready with my own presentation. So he decided that I should go next and present in front of him. I asked for his permission to incorporate my own addition to the presentation, which he approved. Later, I made the presentation with my own improvement, which was perceived to be a significant achievement by him. In fact, he was surprised that I was very quick in understanding the business concept and my ability to pick up new skills. He was amazed with my ability and believed that I should be given the opportunity to seek for clients instead of spending time for further training. Every day that I was working with the investment company, I was extremely elated to be able to be my true self without any barriers to create new tactics and strategies as I see fit to improve my productivity. This openness was the exact opposite to my last employment at the reinsurance company. I was extremely happy with the working environment, which offered me the ability to continuously improve myself. In this excellent environment, I had zero stress, which alleviated my intense pain that I had experienced at the previous employment. Soon, I had no more experience of any pain or stress, which led to my hand to be free of any pain, cramp, or trembling that I had experienced before. Notwithstanding, the job demanded a huge amount of hard work and very challenging for me. I did my best and began to meet up with numerous clients around Kuala Lumpur and Selangor area. In one of the meetings, I had met a close friend of mine who gave me a weird advice for me. He claimed that I should look into the company's investment background, whether it adhered with the teachings of Islam. I heeded his advice and began investigating the background of investment details for the company. According to the CEO, they strictly follow the rules and regulations of Sharia, which was approved by the experts and scholars administering the subject in Malaysia. However, I sensed that I need to dig up deeper to be absolutely sure. In effect, I would never wish to make any money if it was not accordance to the teachings of Islam and the true spirits and essence of Islam, Tesi. Any income that does not observe the teachings of Islam and Sharia would be strictly forbidden and prohibited, which was known as haram. Thus, I was becoming extremely cautious to research about the investment of the company to ensure that I would not make any money that does not follow the teachings of Islam, even if I could become a millionaire for doing so. I do not want to be a millionaire if I had to defy the teachings of Islam. While researching about the company, I later found out that some dubious investments were made to certain organizations which I do not perceive as in line with the teachings of Islam. Even if it did adhere to the Sharia compliance rules and regulations, I do not agree with it. In addition, I had started to experience a bad feeling in my gut about the matter. I prayed to Allah the All-Knowing to show me the way by giving me clear signs whether I should continue working with the company or not. I prayed to Allah for guidance on what action that I should take in order to ensure that I would be free from any income that might be prohibited in Islam, even falling into the category of grey or category of the grey area or ambiguous space. I do not wish to dance around too close to something that could be sinful and prohibited in Islam, especially regarding my own income. Very soon after that, while doing my work, I had begun to see numerous significant signs which would challenge or contradict the logical concept of probability. It was virtually impossible for something bad to happen to me based on the probability theory, especially every event when were very rare, and it occurred to me in a single day in consecutive or continuous manner. In fact, if you computed the probability of such things to occur to me in the same day as I had experienced, I reckon that it would probably reach 1 in a billion chance to happen, or simply saying it was not a simple coincidence, but instead my prayer had been answered by Allah the Almighty. As I began the day, my helmet was cut and stolen after I had locked it. So I had to commute to a shop without a helmet, which I encountered a police roadblock or road inspections. Due to not wearing my helmet, I was hesitantly fined for my action not following the rules and regulation of road safety. Soon, I had to travel faster as I was late to an examination to secure my license, which was required in order to work at the investment company. After a while, I had an accident due to the mistake made by a car in front of me. As a result, I had to go to a workshop for repairs and purchase a new helmet. Next, I arrived to the examination venue and took my examination. During the break, I went to a mosque to pray the Zohor prayer or Salat. I discovered that my bag and wallets were stolen while I was performing the prayer or Salat. After that, I was unable to locate my identification card, which was compulsory to enter the examination hall. Finally, after wasted a lot of time looking for identification card, I found it near my bag. I was already late. My motorcycle started to have trouble starting, which was never an issue to me before. I arrived at the examination hall in a poor condition to continue because I was very late. I had lost all of my focus from the continuous bad events that happened to me, and I was unable to calm myself. I felt that I was suddenly experiencing some form of a panic attack. Eventually, I was unable to finish my examination as I would like them to be, and I might not be able to get a good result from it. In the end, I had lost a huge amount of money from the whole event, especially losing my wallet that contained about 2,000 ringgit Malaysia, which I had withdrawn earlier to pay for the examination fees and other expenses. Everything that I had described above had happened to me right after I prayed for Allah the Almighty to provide me with guidance and signs on whether I should continue working at the investment company or not. Considering the clear and obvious sign from the bad events that occurred to me within a single day, I took the hint from God that I should consider a new employment that were far away from any dubious or uncertainty in the income based on teachings of Islam. I had a clear evidence that their investment background indicated that they did not invest in prohibited business. I had a clear evidence from their investment background indicated that they did invest in prohibited business from the perspective of Islam. Even with the knowledge alone and ignoring the bad events that happened to me in that particular day, after I prayed for signs from Allah the Almighty, I should still choose to abandon my new employment. Don't get me wrong, by thinking that I was afraid of several signs of bad events, because I was not. The only thing that I feared is Allah the All-Knowing. It was paramount for me to never involve in any activity that might open the door to sinful activity or damnation by consuming income that was forbidden and prohibited according to the teachings of Islam. I love money and would have no problem becoming a millionaire. Nonetheless, I would never forgive myself if I ignore my knowledge and the teachings of Islam, even to make 1 cent of money. It was not my way of life. It was not in line with Islam as a way of life. I had known since the very beginning of my life at 17 years old that I would walk the path of a scholar and live my life with Islam as a way of life. By doing so, I would never give up these beliefs and notions in my life, regardless for any amount of money or for any price. If you, the reader, still remembered how I had to protect my belief in Islam by abandoning my good marks for global marketing subject, this time I had to abandon the opportunity of becoming a millionaire at the age of 24 years old. As one of my titles suggests, I had no regrets. I never thought back about this particular moment in my life, regretting my choice of not becoming a millionaire, which was one of my goals in life from the age of 17 to 27 years old. What happened after I reached 27 years old? Well, that story would be explored in the future chapters in my life story. After making the decision to resign from the investment company, I explained my desire to pursue my studies for my master's program, even though it was not the main reason for me resigning. I had too much respect for him that I do not wish to damage or destroy his belief in my ability and talent that he saw during my interview. It was sad for me to leave the best working environment that I had experienced in my life, but it was something that must be done in my life. When walking the path of understanding Islam, there will be decisions that had to be made, regardless of how much it might hurt your own desire or dreams in life. If I am not mistaken, there was a great saying which informed about this subject matter. It explained that Islam knows what is best for a person, even if that decision would hurt or was despised by that individual. I remembered another saying that said, for every event that failed to happen according to our plan in life, Allah the All-Knowing had prepared something better in its place. At that time, I put my trust and faith in that saying, even if I do not really know what was going to happen in my life now that I resigned from the investment company. At that moment, I was unemployed, which was something that I had never experienced in my life before. Okay, so that ends the chapter 41. Thank you for listening and hope to hear you again in the next chapter. See you in the next video and thank you for listening.